Just sitting in my car on a Friday. Let's see what's going on in the news today. What is that? Wow. Let's see. What's that back there? Ooh, stuffy. Ah. You know, I feel like, you know how things are tough right now? Yesterday I went to Chuck E. Cheese with some friends and like kids, and they're charging for everything now. It's insane. You know, before they used to give you like the ticket cards. Now they cost $2 for a card. Like that's crazy. Every little thing now. Nickels and dimes, everybody. Nickels and dimes. Hi. What are you guys doing on your Friday? I'm gonna be going home later to cook some food. Gonna make me nice jambalaya dish. That's what I'm gonna make. What is everyone having for dinner? That's what I want to know. What's going on in the news today that I saw that was interesting? I know what I learned today that I thought was really, really interesting. I was watching this thing about the first, like thirst trap honeypot kind of operations, and you're thinking about honey traps or thirst traps. You're thinking about like women spies, but I guess when this idea first came together, it was actually guys seducing women to get information. And I thought that was really interesting. So apparently it's called if you look it up, I think it's called the Romeo Project. And it started after World War II. Basically everyone, during the war kind of, you know, and they only had women left. And so the government was ran by women. And some guy came up with the idea to use male spies to seduce the government workers to get information, which I think is really interesting. Like, imagine you're like, you, they recruit these people and they like train them in the art of seduction, and they're just like thirst trapping German government workers. Like, that's insane. Like, I feel like they gotta release those files. Like, imagine you're seeing those like old files of them using the male honeypot. And it's like, how do they train them? They're using the art of seduction, like the game. They're giving them the game. I'm sorry if I'm looking around a lot. Oh, you just farted? Guess what? Me too. Oh, if I'm looking around, there's like all these cars driving around, and they look suspicious. What else is going on in the news today that I thought was really interesting? What kind of Asian? What Asian are you? I am Vietnamese. I'm that kind of Asian. Oh, you know what's so funny? I come on here, right, and I at least one person asked me what kind of Asian I am. And I think it's super fun because I grew up in a super like white area, so I'm really used to it. But I just thought about it. You know, it'd be really funny if like I saw like a white guy and I'm like, what kind of white are you? You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of funny. If I see something, they're like, oh, are you Scottish? Are you Australian? There's so many different kinds. What is going on in the news? Oh, and you know what? Okay, the Filipino thing, I get that a lot. That means you know you're Asians, because even with like Vietnamese people, when I like interact with them, if I don't know them, they're like, "Oh, you Filipino?" It's because I'm dark, like which is I think it's normal. Like Vietnamese people are dark. If you're like from that area, you know anything about it, like you get dark. Borderline Mexican though. Oh, that's weird. I've never gone that before. That's kind of far. Imagine if I'm just okay, just Kauai. The Chinese, Korean, Japanese thing, why they are more pale is because, like, at least in Korea, right? They get snow all the time, and so they're covered up more. That I think that's why. Same thing with Japan. Like any area that gets snow. I don't know about Chinese because Chinese people get pretty dark as well. Like if you know like real Chinese people, they get dark. But like Koreans and Japanese, since it snows or it's cold over, they wear more clothes. So that's why they're so pale. And then kind of like over time, you kind of just become pale. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's like an area thing. Yeah, a whole lot of Chinese, a whole lot of different colors. I saw this really interesting thing though in China, like the map. If you see where the people are, they're all in the like the coastal area. Like there's that whole section of China that's like empty, which I thought was really interesting. Um, Speaking of Chinese, you know what I learned the other day? Well, it's not something I learned. It's like an observation I made. Like I have a lot of Chinese friends, but I have this one in particular, and he's got a second family, right? Like he's got they call it like big wife is your main wife and little wife is like all the side families you got going on. And he's got two families or more, two or more families, right? And I was thinking like that's insane. I could barely manage one family. How does he have two? And they know about it too. Like it's not like it's a secret. Like it's a thing. And I was talking to him and yeah, okay, yeah, he's a millionaire. And he was saying, "Oh, thank you. I would love to be Tiger Woods." He was saying that it's in a way, it's a way to flex on other people. For example, I cannot afford a second family, but he's so rich, right? That he can afford a second family. He's got so much money, he can feed two families. He's got so much money, he could buy two houses. You know what I'm saying? He's got so much money that he could send two kids to college, like multiple kids to college. And but like in his like realm, it's like the more families you have, the more like the more wealthy you are. So I'm like saying, so is there someone that has three families that you're kind of like, oh my God, how are you doing it? And I'm like, that's insane. Like you just keep on going and just get more families. Yeah, they know each other. That's the thing. So the wives, it's yeah, they know each other. It's not a secret. That and how it works is he goes back and forth. Like one week he's with this family, another week he's with another family, and he just goes back and forth. And like they know about it. And what's funny is that the I think the wives they kind of like fight each other for him, which is really funny. Like when it's his, like he's saying it's great because when it's his week at let's say family A, wife A treats him like a god because she wants more time with him, right? And then when he goes to wife B treats him even tries to outdo wife A because she's trying to get his time. right? So I'm like, oh, that's a pretty interesting system if you can afford it. But yeah, like there's all these weird random things that like the Asian cultures do to kind of like outflex each other. Like I think I saw something like in North Korea, right? Yeah, I don't know. I only know one of the wives. I've never seen the other one because how it works out is one of them lives near me, and that's how I like know them. I don't know what the other wife looks like because I don't even know where the other one lives. I just know the situation. But I was talking about the Korean thing, like in North Korea, you know how they are heavily censored, and you're not even allowed to wear clothes that are flashy or whatever. You have to wear like whatever government clothes that they allow you to wear. And so the way for you to flex and show off in North Korea is actually fitness. So the idea is that only government wealthy people can afford to work out and have the food to maintain like a uh, fit physique. So I thought that was really interesting. So if you're just walking around, you don't know that that person in North Korea is super wealthy until they hit the gym, or maybe you see them take their shirt off or something. So that was super interesting. They're like, that's how you really show wealth in North Korea is how fit you are. Because if you were like a factory worker or whatever, you're not gonna have time or the means to be working out. Um, what else that I thought was super interesting? Oh yeah, definitely. Health is wealth. That's another thing. I know so many families that I want to say are very wealthy, but their health is, in the gutter. And it's just one of those things where, like there's that culture, especially in America, where you're kind of like, you're in the race. You're trying to work a gajillion hours, almost like Japanese style too, where you're just trying to work as much as possible, and it's kind of like you kind of hold off everything. You don't go to the doctor on time. You just keep on going. Like you're sick, tough it out until later, and it all catches up to you, and then all that money you accumulated doesn't mean anything until, if you're like sick and dying. Being fat used to be a sign of wealth. Yeah, I don't that's pretty funny, like I was thinking about that too. Smashed tortillas on in that car. No, I don't got no tortillas in here. Is that no? Um, yeah, the food thing, back then that was wealth. If you could be fat, that's pretty interesting. But now it's like fitness. If you could afford, because like you think about if you were like working gajillion hours, you're not gonna have time to go to the gym. So now if you made it, you do have time because you don't have to work as many hours, I guess. Now you're fit. No, I don't know what's a Beijing bikini. If I wasn't using my phone to stream right now, I would totally look it up. A Beijing bikini. I'm trying to guess. What does that mean? Is that kind of like okay? You know what I don't like about a lot of the Asian, especially the online girls, is that if you really study them, they're so heavily filtered. It's insane. Where their their height is like filtered. Their whole face is filtered. Like you've seen those videos where like especially I don't know why like you don't see white girls do it as much, but like Asian girls like they have their makeup and they're like this, and they're a completely different person. Like oh, they're so fake online. It's crazy. So I don't know. I don't know the scar. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to remember how old I was. I want to say I was in like second or third grade, and visiting my dad. Yeah, I was visiting my dad. He had another house or something, and my brother was and I were playing in the living room, and we were jumping from sofa to sofa, right? And we're just jumping around, and there was like a coffee table, and it was a glass coffee table, and I wish I got the scar from fighting. Okay, so it's a glass coffee table. So we're jumping from sofa to sofa, and there's a glass coffee table, and I'm on the sofa, and it's probably like maybe like 2 or 3 feet away. But keep in mind, I'm like in second grade at this time, so 2 or 3 feet away is actually a big jump. So I'm thinking to myself, I can make it. I could jump onto the coffee table. It's a bikini on there. Okay, I gotta look it up later. And then so I think I could jump and make it to the coffee table. Well, I jump from the sofa towards the coffee table. As I'm in midair, in my mind, I'm going, wait, this is a glass coffee table. So I gotta land not on the glass part or else I'm gonna be completely screwed, right? Imagine just jumping into a glass. Like, I don't know why I was an idiot. And so I'm jumping midair. I'm like, oh no, it's glass. I gotta land on the edge where it's not glass. So as I'm midair, I'm trying to adjust myself to land on the part that's not glass. And I get on there, but then I slip because I was barefoot. No, yeah, no shoes in the house. So I'm barefoot. So I jump onto it, and then I'm trying not to land in the middle of the table because it's glass. I get onto the edge, but I slip, and my chin just hits the corner of the table, and it's just blood everywhere. Yeah, that's how I got this. Bikini. Oh, okay, bikini only worn in and it's AI. Okay, I gotta look that up later. Cause the AI thing is insane now. Where but I feel like it's still at the point where if you look, you see enough AI stuff, you definitely know what AI looks like now. I think we're all pretty used to it. Like there's maybe when it gets better, I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about, at least with AI for me personally. Um, if you see enough AI stuff, it's not that hard. Like I'm more surprised when you people get yeah, I'm more surprised when people cannot tell what is AI right now because this is the worst version of AI. Well, it's a little bit better when it first came out, but right now you can still very tell. Like there's a sheen. It's like it's like doing. Do I believe that there's an AI that can predict our actions? Yeah, I definitely believe that. Um, yeah, no, definitely. Because I feel like everyone's pretty predictable. I feel like everyone feels like their lives are all separated, but we all kind of come together in a way. If you observe ants, right, you gotta like zoom out. Because we're like ants squirring around. But if you zoom out, we're all going and doing the same, like something. And one ant doesn't know what the other person's doing because it's too complicated. Like you don't know what Johnny is doing over there, but maybe he does something that affects you. And maybe if you keep putting these data points in, there's a pattern somewhere. There's a Nikki. What's a Nikki? That sounds that sounds that sounds kind of hot. It's already here. No, okay. You know what I'm thinking about now? Um, I mean, this is the last topic because I gotta get out of the car soon. But what I'm thinking about is cloning right now. And I'll probably dive into this a little more. But like they cloned the sheep, and then after we cloned the sheep, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, eh, we all agree not to do this with humans, right?" Do you think that they are already cloning humans and you just don't know about it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because they can clone sheep, they can clone pigs, they've cloned rats, and there was just an agreement that was made worldwide not to clone people, right? But in secret, you don't think China is already cloning people? Like, I want you guys to pay attention to something, right? Chinese people or just in maybe just in general, people back then compared to people back now, they are taller, stronger, faster, smarter than ever. And there's this thing, it's I think it's called CRISPR. CRISPR, you know what I'm talking about? Where they can edit the genetic material, like your DNA when you're a baby. Okay, not you don't think smarter, dude. You you could look up like I'm just talking about like in China, like they were getting tall. Like you see like the tallest people, they're always Chinese now. Like, and I'm telling you that there is some genetic like manipulation going on there. Right? Like they're so tall now. But okay, but they've had this technology for the last 20 years plus years that they can genetically come in and if you want to be taller, if you want to have blonde hair, you want to change your eye color, um, they've had this technology for a while. And they've had cloning technology for a long time. They just agreed, like the governments came together and agreed not to clone people. But you don't think in some secret CIA dark lab somewhere where the US aid money is going, you know, that they're cloning people or at least trying. And if we're doing it, someone in some other countries like, the Americans. Okay, about I feel like there's been a lot of progress, you just don't know about it. But okay, back to the cloning thing, before I get distracted. So I'm pretty sure we're doing it, right? And then some guy in some other countries like, I'm pretty sure the Americans are doing it, so we're gonna do it. Or the other way around, where they're like, oh, we're sure that China's cloning people. We better start cloning people too. And everyone just starts cloning each other, right? Dude, people are definitely smarter than they were before. It's just a different kind of smart. Like, here's the thing that I feel like if you ask any boomer and above generation about anything, right? They will tell you something. They will give you an answer, right? Now, the issue that I always find out is it the correct answer? Because back then there was no internet, nothing. They just had books and their teacher, right? Their books could be completely wrong, and nobody questioned anything. Like think about it, back then, you could say anything, and if enough people told you that that was the truth, that's the truth. Like for example, um, here's the easy one: Bloodsport, right? If you watch Bloodsport, at the end of the movie, it says based on true story. But and it's because the guy told everyone this is the story, and nobody fact checked it back then, and everyone believed it to be true. That he went to the Kumite and fought all these people and did all that. And that's the people just believe them. Watch Bloodsport. At the end, it says based on true story. But if you go back to now, when everyone fact checked everything, it was all fake. But back then, they believed it, and you just keep on doing that back then stuff where back then someone said this and that. So that's what I'm saying. Today, people are smart. They just have more access to information. So I don't know. That's it for that. But I definitely want to go back to the cloning thing. But I gotta go for now. Thanks for hanging out with me.